Hi everybody and welcome back to my book club. Today we're gonna do the January episode. I have a lot of books that I read. One isn't even here because I borrowed that and I had to give it back. But we're gonna go through all of these books. There's more crime books in there too, not just like, mindful books as I call them. And yeah, since there are so many, let's just dive right into the books I read in December. So the book that I started out with is this one, The Restless Dead by Simon Beckett. Also, if I'm looking this way, this is where my notes are, so yeah, that's just where I'm looking. This book was amazing. I read it so fast. I actually bought it because I thought the cover was cool. Good choice. Good thing I bought this. So this is basically about this forensic anthropologist, and it's out of his perspective. So it's a crime book where the crime basically has already happened. And you just kind of follow along, but it gets like really dark, and I can't really say anything about the plot because I don't want to spoil anything, because I want everybody to read this book because it's so good. So yeah, the crime basically already happened in this like abandoned old hospital, which is already a creepy setting. And yeah, I think this says it on the back. Yeah, so they find a dead body in that hospital, and then they find some more dead bodies in a very weird like place where it's not really normal to find dead bodies. Yeah, as I said, I can't talk about the plot in detail at all because I would spoil something, but there's like this really big plot twist at the end, and I was just like, I couldn't get through the pages fast enough. So this is a definite recommendation if you like crime books. It's not like gross or anything, like there's no like descriptions of, I don't know, murder or anything, so it's not like a gross crime book, but it's just really good. I really recommend this one. Everybody read this. The second book that I read is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I actually read this book in high school, and I still had it, and I looked at it and I was like, I don't remember everything that happened. I'm gonna read it again. And this actually is one of my favorite books up to this date. I don't want to say I love the book because horrible things happen, but it's just written so good, and you can just put yourself into Jeanette's perspective so well. And even though this is like a school book, and school books typically are kind of boring, thinking of like Lord of the Flies, but this one is amazing. I really like it. So it's basically Jeanette telling her life story from how she grew up. So the first page basically already she is brought into the hospital because she burned herself cooking for herself as a 3-year-old. And at first you don't really realize how horrible it is, but like a 3-year-old child cooking for herself and burning herself and like setting the kitchen on fire, that's like kind of crazy. And so it kind of keeps going into that direction. It gets worse, sometimes it gets better, but it's not like a typical biography. She just kind of like tells her life story from her perspective, and from a child's perspective basically, but a child that's very mature for her age. And yeah, I just really like this book. This is probably the worst description ever, but also really good. I read this in I think 2 days. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but it's kind of like an older book, and it's written pretty small, so it's bigger than it looks. Definitely recommend this to everybody. The third book that I read is Behave by Robert Sapolsky. I'm not completely done with this book yet because it's huge, and this it's called Behave: The Biology of Humans at Our Best and Worst, and it's written very scientifically. I'm really interested in the subject, in biology and psychology and all of that. It's more biology than psychology, so it's really interesting, but it's just really hard to read. So let me show you. This is how small the text is, and the pages are like so thin, like it's like newspaper paper. So this is like even more than it looks, but it's really interesting. He basically goes through like the actual science of behavior, so like the brain areas and like brain functions that cause you to behave a certain way, and also like the cultural things that are affected by those brain areas and stuff. It's, again, I can't really find the scientific words for everything right now, but yeah, so this, if you're interested in science, in like biology and stuff, this is really good. But if you're not, then I would not recommend this, because I don't think that you can read this if you're not interested in it, or if you don't have like a little bit of like knowledge of the general like biology world. Yeah, so definitely recommend this for my science friends. The fourth book that I read is The Comfort Book by Matt Haig. And this is not like a book you read like in one setting. You could, because the pages are like not really filled that much, but it's just a collection of like essays and quotes, and even I think playlists and anything that like is comforting to the writer, and that is also kind of comforting for you or me as a reader. I really enjoyed this book. I keep it on my nightstand, and whenever I just kind of feel like reading something that's kind of uplifting or comforting or motivating or whatever, I just grab this book. And I want to not only include this book in this book club, I just want to kind of take it in again and again as I read through it, and I want to read some quotes. I think I have 3 or 4 marked that I just want to read that I think everybody would like. So yeah, this is just kind of more like quotes and short texts and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna read my 4 marked quotes in December for you, and then read some more next month. But yeah, so I think if I read the quotes, you're gonna know how the book kind of is structured. The first one is titled "To Be is to Let Go." Self-forgiveness makes the world better. You don't become a good person by believing you're a bad one. Don't need to say anything about that. I'm just gonna leave the quotes like kind of as they are and not really add anything. The second one is called "A Thing I Discovered Recently." I love stillness, slowness, when nothing is happening, the blueness of the sky, inhaling clean air, birdsong over traffic, lone footsteps, spring flowers blooming with defiance. I used to think the quiet patches felt dead. Now they feel more alive, like leaning over and listening to the earth's heartbeat. Beautiful. This one is actually kind of a funny one. It's titled "Pizza." The sky isn't more beautiful if you have perfect skin. Music doesn't sound more interesting if you have a six-pack. Dogs aren't better company if you're famous. Pizza tastes good regardless of your job title. The best of life exists beyond the things we're encouraged to crave. The last one for December is called "Life Is." Life is understood backwards but must be lived forwards. And it's by another author, not by Matt, but by Soren Kierkegaard. Probably butchered that name, but yeah. So it's kind of like quotes like this, and like sometimes there's longer text, and I didn't want to like read a 3-page text to you, but yeah, definitely recommend this for like comforting moments for me at nighttime. Then the second to last book is The Alchemist. It's a lot smaller than the other books I read, but look at this cover. It's literally so pretty. I love it. There were different, I got this in like kind of a local bookstore, but on their website, and there were I think 3 different versions, and this was just the absolute prettiest ones, and I think this fits so good with like the story. So you might have heard of this already. I have not heard of it before, and if I told like people I know about this book, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've read that," and "Oh, I know about this book," and I'm like, why am I the only one not knowing about this? But yeah, so this is a story about a boy from Spain who's traveling to the pyramids in Egypt in, I don't remember the year. Let me check. Maybe it doesn't even say a year. Okay, so I'm assuming that it's like kind of long in the past because, I don't know, they travel by ship and camels and nothing else. I think it's set here somewhere, but whatever. And so it's basically about this boy who travels, or who wants to travel to the pyramids in Egypt, and then you kind of follow him along his way. And the story, I feel like, could be like a kid's story, but it's not written in like a kid's story way. But on literally like every page, or like almost every sentence, there's like a life lesson you can take away from the book. And just you can kind of project like the experiences that the boy has onto yourself and your life. And even though he's like in the past traveling to the Egyptian pyramids, it's still kind of like resonated with me and my life a lot. And so yeah, I think this is kind of not inspirational, but maybe inspirational. I don't know. This is also a book I recommend everybody to read. Let me read this. Dreams are made to be followed. Life is meant to be lived. Some books are meant to be read, loved, and passed on. The Alchemist is one of those books. Yes, definitely agree with that. So yeah, this is kind of like a quick read. I think I finished this in also 1 or 2 days. I also have to say, like, my reading patterns are I grab a book and then I read like half of it in the first day, and then like it's kind of like flows out. And so if it's a short book, it takes me 2 days, sometimes it takes me a week, but I'm not at that stage anymore where I read like 10 pages every day. I just kind of start and then finish when I'm like motivated again, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so this also a definite recommendation. And the last book It's sadly only a German book. I can't recommend this to everybody because it's only available in German, but it's called The Shadow or Der Schatten by Melanie Raabe, and it's amazing. I swallowed this book. It literally took me 2 days. It's like this big, but it's just so good. I can't talk about the plot too much also because it's kind of a crime book and I don't want to spoil anything. I think it was called like a thriller or something. But anyways, so it's about this journalist Nora who moves to Vienna from, I think, Berlin. Yeah, she moves from Berlin to Vienna because she, like, I don't know, broke up with her boyfriend and stuff. But it's not like a love story thing. It's really dark. And on her first day in Vienna, she meets this old woman that kind of tells her, like, it seems like she knows more about Nora than she does herself, and she tells her, you're gonna kill this man on February 11th next year, or like this year. I think she moved there in December or something. But yeah, so this old lady basically tells her, you're gonna kill that person, and Nora has never heard the name of that person before, but suddenly that person just pops up everywhere. Yeah, and that's all I want to say about the plot, but it's so good. If you are able to read German, definitely read this book. It's amazing. And I was just like with the Restless Dead, I was just like, I couldn't get through the last pages fast enough because I was just so like mind blown and excited, and I don't know, maybe even scared of what could have happened. But yeah, so those are all of my books. I loved all of them so much. I recommend everything besides Behave to literally everybody, and Behave just to my, as I said, science friends. And yeah, that's all I have for our December book club. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have any book suggestions on what I should read next. I also borrowed 5 new crime book thriller things, so those are definitely gonna be coming up in the next months. And yeah, as I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!